Ghost of Yotei isn't just a sequel, it's a spiritual evolution. For those of us who've recently 100%ed Ghost of Tsushima and fell head over heels for its world, characters, and unflinching beauty, this next chapter feels like a bold, natural next step. And yet it's changing way more than I expected. After recently watching the state of play, I can honestly say Ghost of Yotei is not playing it safe. This is Sucker Punch showing us that they understand what worked and what needed to be pushed further. Let's start off with the heart of the game, Atsu, our new protagonist. Her journey is deeply personal, much like Jin's in the first game. 16 years ago, her family were killed by the Yotei 6, a brutal group of outlaws, and now she returns to the snowy Izo region to hunt them down one by one. And you really do get the sense that this game is going way darker than Ghost of Tsushima ever dared to. Where Jin was burdened with the conflict between honor and necessity, Atsu is free from all of this, and that shift alone changes the entire tone of the game. Ghost of Yotei lets you drive your own experience, much like, and I hate to say it, Assassin's Creed Shadows. You choose which member of the Yotei 6 to hunt first. It's a non-linear story structure, it's much more open, and this is a real departure from Ghost of Tsushima, where it's much more linear storyline where you're progressing through each story chapter one by one in a preset fashion. And it makes me really wonder how much is going to influence the overall story and how much events are going to change between meeting different protagonists at different point in time, depending on what events you've done. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how it actually plays out in gameplay. But story isn't just the main thing, there are also new side quest systems like the clue system where you can interrogate NPCs that will lead you to new targets or locations, and this further deepens the detective style gameplay seen in brief moments throughout Ghost of Tsushima. And this combined with a new bounty system where you actually have named enemies to track down with side narratives, and you've got yourself side content that doesn't just pad out runtime, it actively enriches the world. And I don't know if many other people are feeling like this, but with Ghost of Tsushima, the side quests were really fun, don't get me wrong, but they did start to get fairly repetitive, if that's the word. You're either taking down a camp and killing a bunch of enemies, or you're doing a fox den, or you're making a haiku, which was all fun in games, but it's nice to see that there's more of an active evolution in the side quests in Ghost of Yotei. And I'm really happy that 1v1 duels are back, thank God. Nothing beats the tension of drawing your blade in a 1v1 fight, and often enough these moments in Ghost of Tsushima were actually my favourite, so I'm really happy that they have returned. And you'll be able to find them a lot easier with the new spyglass mechanic, which makes exploration feel less aimless. Instead of needing to run directly into a fox den or a shrine, you can now just scout them from afar, and this makes discovery far more smoother without removing the joy of stumbling across unexpected things. And for those who are wondering, yes, the grapple hook and the parkour system do return from the original game. It's all back and is largely unchanged, which is a good thing. It was already fairly elegant, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And of course, I would be a massive idiot if I didn't mention this new time shift mechanic, where Atsu can literally transform into her younger self to relive memories. This isn't just a flashback, it's a playable, narrative integrated system. If you think back to Iki Island's dream sequences with Jin, it's kind of like that, but expanded into a proper mechanic. But I imagine that these moments will likely happen at key locations from her past, helping you understand her trauma on a deeper level, rather than just being an active point in the game where just from this point onwards you can just be child Atsu. It wouldn't make any sense, so I believe it is actually just going to be in story sequences. A major factor in Ghost of Tsushima's success was of course its combat. That's where I just have to nod my head to Ghost of Yotei, because it's evolving it without compromising on what worked. First off, weapons. Atsu isn't just using a katana and a bow, she's using dual katanas, a kusaragama, an adachi, a rifle, and the newly introduced yachi spear. And please forgive me for those pronunciations. And each of these weapons interacts differently with different types of enemies, meaning that the old stance system has been replaced with an actual weapon switching mechanic from the looks of it. And the crazy thing is, you can actually lose your weapon mid-fight, and this is just such a gritty and grounded detail that screams immersion. The whole weapon system in general makes you feel like a martial artist, especially taking you on a journey, because weapon senseis across the world can teach you new skills. You don't just unlock new abilities over time, you earn them through training in a way that calls back to classic samurai cinema. And because you'll be trained by a weapon samurai, the brutality is going to be dialed up to 11. Atsu is not fighting with honor, she's fighting to survive. A lot of the messaging from the first game was that you shouldn't stealth kill people, you should fight them face to face with honor, and that kind of dawns on the main character quite a lot throughout the story and throughout gameplay in general. But that is not the case with Ghosts of Yotei. And because you're a mercenary, this adds a style that reflects her lifestyle. It looks raw and visceral and brutal, and I love it for it. And I do think the new addition of the rifle is such a unique addition, because it adds that extra layer on top of the bows that we saw in Ghost of Tsushima. And at the moment it's not too clear on how ammo is going to work, or how often you can use it, how fast it's going to take to reload, but it could introduce some tactical decisions that could make a situation either very problematic or just what you're looking for, because by the likelihood of it, if you fire that rifle, every single enemy in that camp is going to come after you, so you have to decide with power over stealth. As I'm talking about stealth, it's just bringing me back to this wolf companion. It's not fully clear on what kind of role this companion will play, but by the chance of it and by continuation of Ghost of Tsushima, we're going to have some kind of emotional connection to this wolf, but either way, it's a welcome presence. Ghost of Yotei is definitely leaning far more into an RPG territory than Ghost of Tsushima did. The flavour of an RPG is just really kicking in. You can now set up a camp absolutely anywhere, and merchants will visit you over time to offer upgrades or items, and you can even cook meals at the campfire, which is definitely giving Monster Hunter vibes. And don't get me wrong, the addition of cooking isn't groundbreaking on its own whatsoever, but I guess it kind of leans into the lonely wandering warrior archetype that Ghost of Yotei is presenting to us, and it fits the tone beautifully. Now really, what would be a Ghost of Tsushima sequel without some cosmetics? There are different sets that come with different stats, much like in the first game, so there's not much of an evolution there, but I would definitely really love to see a transmogrification system where you can just have a certain style of armor but have the stats of another. A lot of games do have this implemented and it hasn't been mentioned, so perhaps they'll update it further down the line if people really call out for it, but it's just something that I'd really love to see personally. It would be a real shame not to give players full control over how their character looks. Something that I was really not expecting is Sucker Punch to go above and beyond with accessibility and style. Returning is photo mode, of course, we all saw it in the first game, but there are new ways to play the game. There's a Japanese voice acting mode with full lip sync, which is something that I don't believe is present in the first game. There's Kurosawa mode, which returns from Ghost of Tsushima, where it's black and white, a cinema filter if you will. Personally, I don't think I'm going to use the Kurosawa mode, especially not on a first playthrough, just because the game looks so beautiful that I wouldn't want it to go into black and white, so maybe I'll save it for another playthrough. There's Mickey mode, which has a closer camera with added blood and mud for that gritty, raw feeling. And then the weirdest one by far is Watanabe mode, which doesn't change anything drastically except for the music. It changes it to lo-fi music of all things, so I guess it's going to add to some calm exploration. And it's so baffling because this style of flexibility is very rare. Most studios just pick a tone for a game and stick with it, whereas Sucker Punch is kind of just saying, here's the world, now do what you want with it. Some people might be thinking that Ghost of Yotei is just another Ghost of Tsushima, but it's more than what Ghost of Tsushima was. It's Ghost of Tsushima Unchained. Everything from exploration to combat, storytelling, customization, it's all been expanded and refined. It's not reinventing the wheel by any standards, but it's definitely turning it in the right direction. There is some real confidence in how this game is shaping up, from Atsu's darker, more vengeful arc to the freedom of choosing your path and weapons. It's really clear that Sucker Punch isn't afraid to evolve their formula just to stay safe. And for those of us who've come off a full completion of Ghost of Tsushima, the wait till October 2nd suddenly feels unbearable. This is really one of those games you can tell already will be special, and it's not just because the visuals or the mechanics look pretty, it's because this game is looking to respect your time a little bit more. Your playstyle is down to you essentially and how you want to play the game. And it's really strange to say, and it's really cool to say that Ghost of Yotei is actually shaping up to be one of the most thought out, crafted open world games that we've seen in a very long time. And so 100%, I'm looking forward to it.